How good is this? The new M3. I love this car. The previous M3, I wasn't so thrilled with it. They've gone back. That's what I love about this new M3 is BMW has really looked at what they've done in the past. They've made some mistakes and they've corrected them with this car, which I think really is just about perfect. The old M3 had a 4-liter V8 in the front, had a very different driving dynamic than any of the M3s that came before it. Now they've gone back to a proper inline 6-cylinder with 2 turbochargers bolted on, and it produces 425 horsepower. More on that in a second, but look at the thing. It's just gorgeous. It looks like a bad boy out to cause some trouble. I love the blue paint. It's got the fabulous looking high gloss black wheels. I typically don't like black wheels, but on this car with this color, it looks spectacular. Now the one you see here is kitted out with a lot of extras. Starts at $74,000 in Canada. Then you add in the executive package, the premium package, the technology package. You've got the connected drive package for $500 and some standalone options like the dual clutch transmission for $4,000, metallic paint, carbon fiber interior, and a whole bunch more, and it brings the price up to over $91,000. So this car here is expensive, but it's $74,000 even if you kit it out at 91. It's a lot of car here when you compare it to other 400 plus horsepower cars. So how did they make this car better from the previous model? Well, it's lighter. Even though the M3 is bigger than the previous model, the hood is aluminum, the front fenders are aluminum, the roof is carbon fiber. Underneath, the suspension components, now the subframes are all aluminum. They've even got a carbon fiber brace under the hood. It shed 80 kilograms, about 176 pounds from the old car. That's a substantial weight savings, and the balance of the car is much better as well because you don't have the big heavy V8 underneath the hood. Now, this is a 4-door. You want the 2-door, it's now called the M4. I like still the classic M3. I think this car looks fantastic with 4 doors, and let's have a look inside. Now, what BMW does better than most companies when it comes to interiors is they know how to do sport really well. Wonderfully supportive and comfortable sports seats. Great big fat steering wheel, just feels right in your hands with 3 spokes. The shifter is close at hand. Sure, this is the automatic, but you play around with it and it gets actually easy to use after about a day. Beautiful leather stitching on the inside. This one's got the carbon fiber, as I mentioned. So a lot of really nice features in here. The rest of the car is the same as a bog standard 3 Series sedan. Same amount of room in the inside, same layout for the iDrive and the controls. And that's good because you get into it and it's very familiar. You adapt to the car right away. Now, one thing, pet peeve of mine, you get a high performance car like this, good old Starbucks in the morning. Now it flops around in the cup holder and spills. I have to keep like a bunch of napkins stuffed in there because inevitably the coffee is going to spill everywhere. I don't know why Germans are so bad at cup holders. That's just yet another example. I think Porsche right now is the worst, but you know, North Americans and the Japanese, they do cup holders better than most. Now, it's really not so much about the inside because it's the same really as a bog standard 3 Series. It's what's under the hood of the M3 that makes it special. Now, what I'm going to talk about today is how the car is to live with every single day as a regular, everyday car, which is what most people are going to use this for. Are there going to be people that take their M3 to the track? Yes, but really not that many. And you know, the guys over at Top Gear and Chris Harris, they've got great videos on that. I'm talking about how's it to live with every single day. So first of all, you lift your foot off the brake. It's got the auto start stop. The engine comes alive automatically. And you have in this car, the dual clutch automatic transmission. Yes, it's still available with a 6-speed manual, but the automatic is very, very good. I'll get to that in just a second. Now, at the heart of the M3 is always what's under the hood. It's an inline 6-cylinder, and nobody does inline 6s like BMW. They've gone back to the roots of what made the M3 special. Now with 2 turbochargers bolted on, and that produces 425 horsepower, but more importantly, 406 foot-pounds of torque. That's 111 foot-pounds more than the outgoing 4-liter V8. The revs on the old V8 were very high, and you had to really crank that engine out to get the maximum torque and horsepower. The torque on this car comes in maximum torque at 1,850 RPM. I'm driving along, it just, you know, relaxed here, and I'm already at that RPM range, so I have full torque really at low speeds. Now, when you also have the ability to dial in all kinds of things, you can change the weight of the steering wheel, you can change the dynamics of the engine and the throttle mapping, and you can all save that on buttons on the steering wheel. As M1 and M2, you can save the settings to your favorites, and you can also notch up how quickly the transmission shifts. Now, I'm a dyed-in-the-wool manual transmission guy, but I think with this car, I would get the dual clutch automatic transmission. It is so good and so effortless, and it really makes this car feel like a precision tool. Now, the other thing is, when you get a car like this, do you want it to beat you up every single day, driving it to work, doing calls on the phone, doing, people who own these cars are successful. They're doing phone calls, conference calls. You know what? This car is a very nice car to drive in all situations. Yes, it's got a firm suspension, but it isn't the kind of suspension that kills you. It really feels a very nice balance of comfort, luxury, and performance. But the great thing is, at a flick of a switch, it goes from being a compliant everyday commuter to an out-and-out beast, and where this car really shines. If you're somebody that does a lot of highway driving, oh my God, is this car fantastic on the highway. It is so smooth and refined. You want to pass somebody, you think about it, and bam, you're by them. You got to watch the speed, because the speed just creeps up oh so effortlessly. This car now really is a very nice balance. You've got good efficiency as well. I'm averaging driving, almost entirely in the city at about 13 liters per 100 kilometers. That's pretty damn good for a 400 horsepower plus engine under the hood. The steering feels fantastic. The suspension isn't too jarring. It's a really good all-round package. All the power is going to the rear wheels, as it should with an M3, but some people might think that it should have all-wheel drive. I'm not so sold on that idea. Now, as I mentioned, this car starts at $74,000, $75,000 if you want the two-door. You lose two doors, you pay $1,000 more. Go figure. Then you add on extras. So this car isn't cheap, but you think about maybe driving a Porsche Carrera S that has 400 horsepower, much more expensive than this. The value leader in the 400 horsepower race really is the new Mustang GT. It's a lot cheaper than this car, but it's not the same kind of product. It really is a very different car. This is so refined, so polished, so precise, so nice to drive in every situation. The only fault you could ever say against the M3 is it's rear-wheel drive only. Now, for driving enthusiasts, this is what they want. They want all the power going to the back, but for people who use it every single day, this might be an inconvenience for our Canadian winters. But you know what? This car is fantastic. Now, it isn't a deal, but it really is a relative bargain for a car that's this capable, this good looking, and this dynamic.